let's go to night. And in a night, we're gonna spend 10 minutes. Okay, I'll use another color. Now, reflection. With reflection, at the end of the day, before you go to sleep, it's a 10-minute exercise. So, this is when we wake up, and this is when we go to sleep. This is really important. What we do before we go to sleep, because when we go to sleep and you're sleeping, the unconscious side of the brain is still working. It's actually still activating. It's processing all that information. It's processing everything that you did, just like a computer, just like an AI. The way you code an AI is the way it's going to learn and develop and grow. This is exactly what we're doing. We're coding our own brain. We're doing exactly the same thing of our own brain. We're coding it. We're not letting our brain just do whatever it wants, because if it does, it's going to revert to fear. It's going to revert to the failure. It's going to revert to fear of failure. It's going to revert to envy and jealousy and anger and all these negative emotions that do not help us, do not help our brain, do not help your journey as a deep learner. So the first thing we do is reflect. When you reflect, all I want you to do is to just identify the positive events of the day. Anything that happened to you today, I want you to identify one positive event. And trust me, there's many positive events in your life. It's just that, unfortunately, our brain focuses on the negative. So, at the end of the day, focus on one positive event. This is what I do, on one positive thing that happened to me today. It could be anything. It could be a conversation you had with someone. It could be a phone call. It could be something that you did. It could be some action that you've never done before. Anything that you feel was a positive towards you, a positive event, start thinking about it. And also start, when you're reflecting, start thinking about how you felt during that moment. And it could even be learning something that you learned today, and then you learned something else made sense to you. That's up to you. But when you're reflecting, I want you to think of the positive event. One positive event that happened to you today and how you felt. Then, after this, we move into a deep learning practice. Okay, so we move into a deep learning practice. And this one we spend 5 minutes. And this one here is very similar to this one. So then we do the deep learning practice. And this one here is very similar to this one. And in this one, we spend 5 minutes doing this. Again, we're putting the timer on. We're not going to spend more than 10 minutes. This is before we go to bed. Now, this one here, very similar to that one. The only difference is I want you to find something new. I want you to look and learn one new thing of a topic that is of interest to you. It's going to be different. It's going to be very different to the one you had in the morning. But it's got to be something that you care about, something that you have, that has meaning to you. Because when you're learning something that you don't care about, when you're learning a definition that you don't have any connection with, or it doesn't have a spark, it doesn't give you a burning desire to learn more, then it's not deep learning. So deep learning is about finding that spark and finding that deep meaning that is important to you. So in the morning you've learned something new that you care about, and at night again you spend 5 minutes learning something new that you care about, something that triggers a spark. And remember, when you're learning something new, always think about, how can I apply this? So think about, it could be reading something, and when you're reading something and you're trying to find something new, think about what you've learned, and then think about, how is this applied? How can I action this? How can I do something with? Because then the brain's working and it's actually developing ideas. It's actually thinking creatively. And remember, we've got 100 billion neurons in your head. And it's like having these little workers. They want to work. You just got to give them something to do, and they want to get excited. You got to give them something exciting to do. So I'm not telling you to learn something that's boring. I want you to learn something that excites you. And when you go through this phase, you'll find something. There's always something for you to get excited about. And it could be a problem sometimes that you're experiencing. Learn something about it. Read something about it. Read an article. Something that's going to engage you in strong feelings. So if you think about it, you've done these exercises. All you need to do is you do these exercises. You do this in the morning and night. The key is to do it consistently. The key here, the main thing is don't just do it once and feel good about it. Do it daily. Do it every day. Now, there's one more thing I forgot. There's 8 minutes here. There's another 2 minutes. So we've got to do 10 minutes. So there's 3 minutes reflection, 5 minutes deep mini. These are mini deep learning practices. This is not the actual real deep learning practice, but they're mini and they're effective because they're going to keep your subconscious mindset into a positive mode, into feelings of emotions like love and feelings of emotions like faith and hope and passion and romance and sex, all these things that fill the subconscious side of the brain. These are the things where the brain starts to spark, the brain starts to have imagination, starts to wonder, ideas come through, and it helps our conscious side of the brain where decisions are made, where actions are done, and where new experiences are felt. But we have to go through this process. We have to automate the process in the morning and automate the process at night. The final thing you do at night, meditation. 2 minutes. Now this is what I do. I'm not a big meditator. I'm not telling you to go and do all these meditation courses and go and get, but this is an easy task and it's such an effective task. Before you go to bed, also I want you to do, after you've done this, the reflection, after you've done the deep learning, the mini deep learning practice, I want you to spend 2 minutes breathing, close your eyes, breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Count to 6 and breathing out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now this is the key here. Again, I'm not a big meditator, but I tried this for me and it worked. It's easy. All you need to do, you've got one goal. Close your eyes and only think about the breathing. That's it. Just think about the breathing. In, out. And don't think about anything else. Don't think about nothing except the breathing. If you can just focus 2 minutes on just the breathing, you're going to put your brain into such a great mode before you go to sleep that the brain, when it's actually sleeping, it's actually working, it's actually functioning, and you're putting yourself in such a great position and in such a great mindset that when the brain wakes up, all these neurons in your head have been working at night because now they've got a new boss, now they've got a new manager, now they're starting to get excited, starting to spark, and you wake up with wonder and imagination, and that's where the ideas come, that's where creativity comes in. And then when we wake up in a more of a positive mindset, and then we do this exercise which keeps it there. And if you do this daily, if you do this every day, you make it consistent, not only will you get better at this, but your brain's gonna permanently change forever. That, I promise you that. It's about being consistent. That's the key, because what we're doing here, just like we would do it as an AI, we're automating. We're putting automation processes in place so we can keep our subconscious side of our brain in a positive mode, using feelings and emotions through our actions, so that our conscious side of the brain now, the one that's making the decisions, to do it is supported by the subconscious. And then as permanent deep learners, not only you start changing your life, not only you start finding that one purpose, but then you get like-minded people in your life that feel what you're feeling, that are going through what you're going through, and then you start developing new ideas. But what I will say is watch the toxic environments, because the toxic environments, the people in our lives that put in this fear, that put in this negativity, because they don't know, maybe they're fearful of you or whatever, they can very easily creep in to the subconscious mind and affect all this and affect your deep learning capabilities. So be aware of it, be wary of it. And for me, I just try to avoid toxic people, full stop. And I focus on this, and it's amazing when you do that, like-minded people come into your life that support you and that you support them. And that is part of the journey. Now, finally, I just want to go quickly. Okay, so we automated the process here. You do this with your deep learning practices. There's too many deep learning practices that you saw, very minor deep learning practices, but you do this in the morning, at night, and you be consistency, your life's going to change, okay? But don't, and I'm going to really emphasize this because I've had students of mine who do these exercises, but then they come to me and say, well, Ross, it's not really that effective, or I'm not really feeling it. And then I find out further information about what they're doing and they shouldn't be doing. So do not do this. 2 hours before you go to sleep, do not watch news. News is 99% negative. It's always going to be negative. It's always going to spark an emotion of a negative feeling. Do not watch news before you go to sleep, and do not watch news when you wake up. I don't watch news at all. Okay, it's all negative. So I don't watch it. I avoid it. Okay, because that's like pouring an ingredient into your subconscious. We don't need it. Okay, I'm going to learn stuff that I want to learn, and if I want to find something, I'm going to do it my way. That's what I've decided to do. I'm going to control what comes into my mind. I will pick and choose how that comes into my mind and how I'm going to evaluate. But I'm not going to watch news before I go to sleep, and I'm not going to watch news when I wake up. Okay, it's really important, because if you wake up and the first thing you do, or even just after you've done your 10-minute exercise, watch news, it's like you've wasted that exercise, because you're allowing this negative mindset, this negative aspect come into your brain. And what it does is it affects your mood. And I don't care what anyone says, it affects your mood. And you can do all these, again, I keep saying, you do the deep learning exercises, you become a permanent deep learner, but you can derail it by something as simple as watching news at night or watching news first thing in the morning. Don't do it. 2, social media. And again, I'm talking about my experience here, and these are tips that were given to me. Okay, so you may do all these exercises and start to make some progress. All of a sudden you can derail that with social media. Because social media, again, whilst it's got its good points, and I'm not going to knock it, it can also be very addictive, and it also does put you in a mood, some kind of mood set. And more often than not, there's a lot of toxic people on social media. There's a lot of them. So forget the toxic people in our lives that we kind of try to want to eliminate or minimize, because they're going to bring toxic language, and they're going to bring toxic feelings into our mindset, which is not great for our subconscious. But on social media, there's a lot of toxic people, and they're all negative, and they're all going to put you in that mood. Even people that you disagree with, or people that you agree with, they're going to put you in that mood. So you know what? Don't let it in. Don't let it come into your subconscious. After you've done that exercise, your morning routine and your night routine, do not go onto social media. Okay? I don't watch social media. I spend an hour on it because I need it for work, and that's it. I don't go into seeing what comments people make. There's a lot of toxic people. I don't let it into my subconscious. Okay? I know I'm going to make mistakes in life. So what? That's part of my journey. That's part of becoming a deep learner. But avoid that. There's a lot of toxic people out there, and it's especially in the morning and especially at night when we're establishing and putting a lot of work on our subconscious side of the brain. We don't need these two ingredients. So eliminate them. Okay? Number 3. You're probably going to hate me for this. Text and emails. Before you go to bed, do not look at any text messages at least an hour or 2 hours. I've gone 2 hours. I used to go an hour, but now I've gone 2 hours because I don't need to see text messages 2 hours before I go to bed. And again, text messages can derail all the hard work that you've been doing with your subconscious mind. Now remember, this is about you. This is about your growth mindset. This is about you developing your brain to become the best version of yourself. And in my opinion, the reason why so many of these online courses don't have a long-term effect on people, for the majority of people, is because they're still doing a lot of this kind of stuff is still coming into their mindset, and they're still watching the news in the morning, and they're still on social media, and they're still doing all this stuff, and they're not becoming deep learners, and they're not becoming effective, permanent deep learners because they're still doing a lot of stuff. Don't do any of this. Now, text messages and email, it's very easy to text message our friends and gossip and do all that stuff, but you don't need it. You don't need it. It affects your mindset. So avoid it an hour before you go to bed or 2 hours, and don't do it at least an hour, 2 hours when you wake up. Especially don't do it the first thing you do when you wake up, because again, it sets the subconscious up and it can create a mood that derails everything that we do for the rest of the day. So avoid it. And again, I'm talking from my experience and emails. You know what? I used to look at my emails before I go to bed, and especially when it's work related, and especially when something's happened at work, and all of a sudden you go to bed thinking about the thing that you need to do, or thinking about, should I respond to this email, but then you don't have a great sleep, and then you wake up in the morning and all of a sudden that email could have been dealt with at work, but it's wasted your sleep, it's affected your subconscious, it's affected the way you wake up, it's affected your mindset, it's derailed you. So do not look at your emails before you go to bed. Definitely do not look at your emails before you do these exercises. I don't look at emails again 1 hour, 2 hours before I go to bed. I look at no emails. Okay, you can wait till the morning. So the only focus should be for you the 10-minute routine in the morning and a 10-minute routine at night. And don't do any of these, and you've got 2 mini deep learning exercises, plus then you do your deep learning exercise, your 20-minute deep learning exercise during the day sometime, and you will be on your way, not just becoming a permanent deep learner, but you'll be on your way to solving some of the problems that you've always wanted to solve, but what you'll notice is you will be on your way not just to becoming a permanent deep learner, but your entire life, everything about your life is going to be a surprise, because you have this superhero power. We all have this superhero power. It's just as no one's ever shown us the strategy No one's ever given us the best strategy to be able to utilize this to have a more effective life and to be able to solve problems that we never dreamed about solving. I'm solving problems now that I never dreamed about solving. I'm solving problems now that with AI, and of course I'm doing this course, that I never dreamed about doing. And I don't believe any of this would have happened if I had remained as a surface learner. Becoming a deep learner and doing all these other little things on the side to help the subconscious side of the brain, because the subconscious side of the brain is the most important. The conscious, you think the conscious side of the brain is the boss, determines everything, because it makes all the decisions. It doesn't. It makes the decision because of what the subconscious side of the brain has been processing, how it processes all its experiences, all its emotions, and then the conscious mind makes decisions based on that. So what we're doing is we're recoding the subconscious side of the brain so that the conscious then makes those decisions and does those actions that changes your results like a circle, gives you a new experience, and all of a sudden you will notice, you do this every day for 21 days, you will notice a shift in yourself. You will notice that, you will feel that, you will experience that. And when you experience it, doesn't matter what I say, doesn't matter what our friends say, when you personally experience it, because I experienced this too. I went on this journey and I experienced this and it changed my life. The only person you believe is yourself and your experience. And then we reflect on that experience and then you notice, hey, I used to think like that, but now I think like this. I used to think like that and I think like this. Oh, there has been a shift, there has been a growth. Let's keep going. And the beauty about this is this, it's fun and it's adventurous. I feel like my life's become like an adventure over the last 4 or 5 years. So, do the morning and night routine. I'd love to hear about your experiences, so please email me your experiences. I'd love to hear what you've gone through, even if it's been a bad experience. And I had a student the other day who said his experiences are not great, and I found out that he watches a lot of news. He watches a lot of news, and he's into his politics, and it aggravates. And then when he watches a lot, he goes on social media, which is amplifies his anger, and he goes to sleep with anger. And if you go to sleep with anger, you're going to wake up in anger, and it's not good for the brain. That's not what we want. Okay, do the routines. I'd love to hear your experiences. Be consistent, have fun, and I'll see you on the next video.